for anyone hearing that brrr in the background,
it's hot as hell. Okay,
it's really hot.
Get used to it.
So the fan is
We're
on.
not turning it off.
She's okay. Thank you. Now, on to the podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Exploring Nollywood podcast. It's your host, Mimi, and we're talking about historicals, traditionals, epics, whatever you want to call them. We're talking about them. This is part 2. Let's talk about the settings of historical movies. Always you have the hut. The hut is where everything goes down. The hut, there's the palace hut. There's the old woman's hut.
Wow. There's a shrine.
There's the shrine.
There's always a shrine.
Always.
It's not a... There you go. I don't think it would be a village film if there's not a shrine, because there's always a god.
Well, yes, because before we used to believe in different gods. The gods in general. Our ancestors. It's very interesting, yeah. Or maybe it is like the form. But African magic has a lot of... Okay, no. I'm sorry. That was actually quite offensive. Traditional African religion has a lot of ancestral worship. Mm-hmm. But have you ever noticed that in village films, there's not a lot of worship of the ancestors? It's just like, the gods. But there's very little mention of what the ancestors will do. What will happen with if the ancestors are this. So there's not a lot of... It's actually a very Christian idea of what African worship is. So, for example, if you look at traditional Africa, we're talking about Igbo now. Like the religion that was mostly spread then was the chi, the ideas of your chi, the ideas that the chi is from your ancestors, and then that the ancestors plead for you with the pantheon of gods. But you don't find, like, again, there's not a very deep dive into religion. It is just, this god, Robocop,
stop saying
this god against that god. The gods demand this. Or, this god says this. Like, just, do you think that it's, first of all, are we scared? That's not even a question. We are scared of traditional African religion.
I think we should be. I think a healthy amount of fear in something that we don't really know and understand is good. And because I fully believe in you shouldn't incite these old gods.
No.
Because you don't know what they can do.
But do you believe that?
You don't know what their rules are.
But that is what Nollywood has taught you. Because in Nollywood, but Nollywood gods are like, fuck around and find out. Piss me off, and I will curse the land, and you will have to sacrifice a maiden who the prince has fallen in love with. You will have to sacrifice a maiden, or the priestess will have to go on this journey, or you need to find the egg of life or something to appease the gods and make sure that the prince is no longer sick. These ideas of retributional gods, how do we not know that it's not Nollywood that's planted these ideas in our head? How do you know Shango is not a nice god? How do you know Amadio?
The god of thunder.
How do you know that Amadioha? Maybe he doesn't like striking people with thunder. But I still think that because we're undeveloped as a cinema, first of all, we barely have any indie films. Because let's be honest, indie films in Hollywood is how they explore, say, some off-kilter elements of the world.
Despise indie films.
Okay. But first of all, we don't have a budding indie scene, although nowadays New Nollywood is really bringing it in, but you still need a lot of money. We're not fully developed, so we're religion itself is not being examined. Traditional religion, how religion was in those days, how traditional gods affected people's lives.
Yeah, but then do you think that Nollywood should have the burden to teach us that?
Yes. It is
Why?
our cultural cornerstone. Who told it to be our film industry? Did we beg it?
Hollywood barely has that burden. Hollywood does not have the burden. Hollywood as an industry does not have the burden to teach you about your history. Why should Nollywood?
Because our history has been stripped from us by colonization. Therefore, it should have the burden to teach us about the way we were and how that informs our life right now. I think.
Okay. I think that Nigerians as individuals have that burden. Your school system has that burden. Your government has that burden. Your film industry, therefore your entertainment, can take on part of that and can choose to do that, but they do not have that burden to teach you.
Well, they should.
Because you cannot go then to a Hollywood film and say, oh, this is so historically inaccurate, and then they'll be like, okay, it's a film.
Yes, but I think that's even wrong in Hollywood, because Hollywood does have a duty, because so many preconceptions and conceptions and beliefs about the world that actually change the way the world runs are being peddled by Hollywood themselves, and somebody should call them to attention. But nobody will, because they're huge. But Nollywood is we are fledglings. Therefore, we should take the good and leave the bad from Hollywood.
But then to become as big as Hollywood, you have to, which is what New Nollywood is doing. New Nollywood is emulating that of, yes, they're trying to tell our quote unquote stories, but they're going to tell it in a way that people will want to watch. Which means that it might not be as historically accurate as it could be, should be, would want to be. But I don't think the burden of education
I just think that
fall to Nollywood. I
think that there should be some ethics in presenting a story. There should. I know there's not.
Ethics in entertainment, Marianne.
Well, there should be. The world would be a better place if there were ethics in entertainment.
The world would be a better place if there were ethics in everything, but there is not. Why? Because who decides? Ethics is morals, yes.
Okay.
Morals are right and wrong, yes.
Yes.
Who decides what is right and wrong?
The society decides what's right and wrong.
What if that society is wrong? What if what they decide?
Okay, you're getting into moral relativism, and this is not a philosophy podcast, because that would be so boring. Let's move on. Let's move on. I apologize to people that just wanted to be entertained, but we gotta ask ourselves these questions. Moving on. Talking about sets, talking about scene. There's a lot of native lands. There's a lot of forests, a lot of bushland, a lot of grasses, a lot of plants, and if it's really good, a lot of water, undisturbed water, and that's being protected by
stream.
This oh my god,
everything goes down at the stream.
It all goes down at the stream. The princess, this classic film with Iniedo and Mercy Johnson, I think the servant or the maid, but the princess always goes to the stream with her servant girls, of course,
to watch them washing her clothes.
Because that doesn't really make sense. But and then she meets.
Why would she be washing her own clothes?
What I'm saying, that why would she be watching them wash her clothes?
Because it's about the camaraderie, while still reminding them
that
I'm not like you. Ew.
I'm a princess.
But then she's never supposed to be there.
Yeah, and either she falls in love with the rugged man, or she meets her rival, etc.
Oh, all the rivals meet at the stream.
They all meet different because gangs. They need to drink water. Or, if we talk about a common setting, the village square. the village square. Everything happens in the village square. All the celebrations go down in the village square.
I mean, it's a square.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a square. If it's not going down the stream, the climax must go down at the village square most of the time, because
Or at the Igwe's palace.
At the Igwe's palace, which is never near the square.
Why would it be near the square?
What are the kind of stories that you find in a tradition?
Romance.
Okay, let me finish. In a traditional
Romance.
village slash
Romance.
Yes, you find romance. Yes, there's a lot of romance. And it doesn't matter if it is. Doesn't matter what kind of romance it is. What kind of romance it is. It can be.
If you want to know the different types of romance that there are in Nollywood, please check out our Nollywood podcast on romance. Thanks.
Yeah. But yes, especially the Cinderella type romance, that is always so like.
Do you know why, Marianne?
Why?
Because there's a prince.
I see. I mean, but that's not like that's the only story to tell. But I mean, there are stories.
Oh no, there's other romance
stories, but that is the most popular one. Why? Because, as you said, there's a prince.
I feel like the romance stories that you get in village films, while sometimes they have to do with the prince, other times they're actually, some of the ones that I've watched and I've actually quite enjoyed, are focused on the female side of it.
What do you mean?
So they are focused on, so some of them will focus on the guy or the prince or the dude trying to get the girl.
Yeah.
But there's other more interesting ones, no offense, is the girls trying to get the guy.
Yes, so love triangles, we're focusing more on the girls.
On the girls.
You know, the maidens preparing for a dance, the maidens choosing between themselves who is going to be the queen, and all those kind of fun things. I wonder why. And here's where I don't think I've ever said this before. Do you think Nollywood is feminist?
No, I don't.
Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between.
She winked at me and I didn't like it.
We will be having our episode on Nollywood and feminism. It will be hot. It will be hot. So
if they want it hot,
we'll give it to them hot. And it will be. But let's just say that we tend, especially historicals, tend to focus more on the female versions of things.
We do.
You know what? That is true. Okay, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but if there are not enough women in a traditional movie, I'm not watching, because it is going to be chiefs arguing.
Frankly, we watch it for the two pieces. Okay, there, I said it.
We watch it for the styles,
for the koso, for the costumes, for the black lipstick.
Yes. Oh,
I remember there was this one film, like, she didn't look like she was wearing makeup, but they definitely concealed those lips, because why were the lines so sharp?
They do conceal it. There is a special person. Shout out to Uche Nancy. Can we just give just a slow clap of appreciation for Uche Nancy and what she's done to Nollywood? Just a slow clap of appreciation for her. Thank you, miss. What you have done to Nollywood, we respect it. But yes, we watch for the costumes. We
definitely watch for the costumes. I mean, yes, you watch for the stories as well, but
but it's the
if I'm not enjoying what I'm looking at, then I will stop watching the film almost immediately.
There's just a lot of royalty in it. If it's not the prince, it's the princess, the king or the queen.
Oh, that is true.
There's just a lot of romance and royalty.
Do you know, I've never separated it in my mind, or there is a prince. There's a type of film where you're rooting for the prince to get his man, or
that's never been.
That's not the thing. To get a girl.
Yes.
And within that story, obviously, they'll tell you the story of which girl it's supposed to be, and that's a whole another story.
I love the ones where there's a competition for the prince. I don't care if it's a dancing competition.
Where they have to go and get something.
No, that's a different genre. That's
I
the
meant
difference.
for the prince.
Yeah, but the prince is usually sick. He's not falling in love with her. He probably drinks the concoction and then says, "Oh, what a beautiful maiden! I'll marry you." So that doesn't really count as a romance.
Wow.
But there's usually a competition for the prince, whether usually it's dancing or cooking. I want to see more Nollywood. I want to see like basket weaving or bead making.
I'm sure that comes into it as well.
Yeah, so that's the romance and the girl,
and then so where they are fighting
for
quote
the prince.
unquote for the prince.
And we said this in the romance episode. It is always the most virtuous girl that wins. The girl that conforms to Nigerian womanhood. Oh, she can cook well. Oh, she's so humble.
Is it not you just now that said that you want to see competitions of basket weaving? Who is weaving baskets, Marianne? Men? Is it men?
I'm just saying. I'm allowed to be conflicted. I'm a woman.
Oh.
Let's move on quickly from that.
Wow.
Marianne
has said a lot of things in this podcast that she deserves to be side-eyed for.
You were saying?
Anyway, so I think I've never, like I said, I've never separated them in my head, but it's worth separating of where there is a prince and then there is also a princess.
Okay.
Of where it's the princess that's being fought over.
Mm-hmm.
It's the princess that's picking
the man.
The man.
Yeah, true.
It's
all the strong men in the village.
Right?
Wearing the eyeliner under the eye. Going to hunt for the bushmeat.
She's smiling very weirdly. No, Marianne. Ew. But yeah, so that's I think another type of story that whilst they are both romances,
Royalty
they will
romances.
not be the same type of story. You won't find the same ideas in it because there's different things that would be appealing to both sides.
I agree.
So
I do like when it's the princess though. She's always adorned beautifully.
Marianne, all the princesses in these films are beautiful.
Yeah, man. Oh, when Iniedo used to give us traditionals.
Oh,
when Stephanie Kirke used to give us traditionals.
Mercy Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Koye.
Oh, they used to give us Luke.
Muscle up. What?
Lukes. They don't do that no more.
Oh.
She's clicking her fingers as if that's gonna translate.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah,
amazing, fantastic. The princesses in these films,
Lukes.
Bam.
And as we were saying, then there's also as we said, there's also the forbidden romance. There's a lot more forbidden romance in traditionals.
I think there's a lot more forbidden romances when the woman is the princess.
Why would that happen?
Because she's in love with the pauper.
Yeah, but he'll become the next king.
Why would you? Nobody wants that.
But
because it's okay for a pauper to become a princess or a queen.
Yeah, it depends if she's not of a slave caste.
Yeah, but then they overcome it and they're fine with it. But it's not quite okay, or it's not quite the same for a pauper to become a king.
Yeah. Here's the thing here: these traditional romances, more than other romances, they tend to ignore politics a lot. Let's say Michael Zorian is the prince. He was a very good prince in his time. Let's say Michael Zorian is the prince, and he has to marry the princess of another village, and he falls in love for the maiden, the blind orphaned Mercy Johnson. The blind orphaned Mercy Johnson. What happens when he refuses to marry?
War happens. Or the two stories are running in parallel with each other,
and then she falls in love with
some poor guy.
I love it when she's like all high and lofty and hoping to marry the Michael Zorian, but she falls in love with this poor hunter.
Ooh, yes.
No, but I'm just saying that a lot of politics is really very, very glossed over.
No, there's for sure war when these things happen. Because there's a reason.
You will marry the prince.
It's a political alliance for a reason.
Yeah.
You can have her as a concubine or whatever, but you're getting married.
Do you also think that, like, I feel like there was less, even though we know that polygamy was practiced a lot in those days, or we assume that it was. There's rarely any polygamy in traditional. Think about it. Yes, the king might have 2 queens, rarely, but the prince will never have more than 1 wife.
Oh, but then it's a romance, Marianne. If you're a romance
it's
generally between 2 people.
I understand.
If it's sort of like they get married, but in 2 years he's due a new wife. Not quite the effect. Not quite the effect that you were going for.
There's only ever 2 wives if the girl is going to be mistreated by her stepmother.
No.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I've seen somewhere they are just there.
Just sister wifing it up.
Just there.
I would make it terrible.
Or it would be that there's a prince from another land that is coming to meet one daughter, but then the other
very Cinderella
mother has another daughter that she's obviously making mechanisms for, that she has 1 or 2 of the king's council that are rooting for that other princess. Oh my god.
But
delicious.
Back to my now. See, if that happens, what happens to the social structure in that village? Now, let's bring some realism into this. Let's say the prince marries the poor pauper girl. As a normal maiden in that village, it will not happen. It won't happen. You saw me, and you chose the blind girl that sometimes sings in the woods and smells of doo-doo. No,
Marianne, what will you do?
I don't know. But
what will you do? Will you go? Like, you know where she lives? In the palace. Go and beat her. She's in her house.
Okay. So I'm expected to call her my queen.
Yes, Marianne.
Oh my god, I'm giving some real bad maiden energy. This is what a typical maiden in one of the traditional film would say. But I'm just saying, you're expected to call her my queen? To bow before her?
Yes.
When she was an orphan, poor blind girl?
Because that's your queen, Marianne.
I just think that there will be unrest in the kingdom, just generally.
But I mean, anything that will go against quote the status quo, there will be some repercussions for that. And I guess the the strength and caliber of the king involved is what dictates or what determines how that will be resolved.
I mean,
it's a film.
That's also true. Like, it's a film. It's for entertainment, as you have said. It's for entertainment. No one wants to see the political consequences of Nkechi becoming the queen and how none of the maidens respect her. To counteract what I said, sometimes if he falls in love with someone from the slave caste, he abolishes the slave caste. I mean, it wasn't bothering him before.
Of course it wasn't.
But now it is. Or if we don't marry from that village or something, and then you harmonize. There's some lovely endings. Alright, another genre in another type of story that you find in historicals are as you said, oh my god, the gods are angry.
The gods do be angry.
They're always angry.
They do be angry.
I have never heard a Dibwa come in and say the gods are happy.
Sometimes they're happy. I think sometimes it'll be like it's the start of the film will be, we have this harvest coming, the gods are happy, not the gods, but I don't think the gods are happy, the gods are there. And
something happens,
so someone does something somewhere.
Someone violates
some rule that probably has never been spoken about for the past 30 or so years.
Yeah.
So they violate that rule, and now
all of a sudden the gods are mad.
They are mad.
They are throwing hands, and usually the prince gets sick, or the princess. No, never the princess. The king gets sick,
or everyone gets
sick, or there's famine, or there's drought. Or people start dying.
Randomly.
The well starts drying up. The stream
Oh, imagine that.
The stream is
is
dry.
drying up.
And then they now have to go on a mission. I do love those ones.
Those are
those
ones are really good, but they're also really scary.
They are scary, but that's when you see, guys, egg of life with blah blah. It's just a typical. It's the best example of that. The gods are angry. The prince is sick. Let's go get the egg of life. That's it. It's a journey. You have practical effects. You have different costumes. You have different elements to the storyline that really makes it work.
Mm-hmm.
That
I think I mentioned it before, where I equated it to something like the Odyssey, the Iliad,
stories of the hero's journey, basically.
Yes,
where they're journeying to get something. Oh my god, is Egg of Life just Lord of the Rings in a different version?
I don't see those films. I'm too pretty.
Okay, moving on. But it's still the journey. They're taking the journey. They come across different elements. They have to do different things. Oh, I love it when they go to the spirit land. Yes, and the ghosts and the spirits and the different goddesses are there. And usually, okay, this is just Egg of Life. Somebody is protecting them, or maybe they send. There's another one I watched where they send different maidens, and whoever wins gets to, whoever comes back alive gets to marry the prince. And they give them different, like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, and then each maiden is making a mistake because of arrogance or something.
Yeah,
love those.
No. The epics of.
I think that, you know what, we've been struggling to find the name. Epics. They're called epics.
The journey ones.
No, the general genre is an epic.
No.
In Nigerian, in Nollywood.
No.
Okay, sorry. Continue.
I think an epic is usually the story of a journey.
Yeah. So okay, fine. Yeah, like the epics, the journeys. The spirit land. The evil forest.
The evil forest.
Oh my god! How, when we're talking about scenes and settings, why did we not talk about the evil forest? There's always an evil forest.
Because I don't want to think about evil forest. Okay, it's terrifying, it's scary, and it's night.
And people always die there. Oh, throw the body into the evil forest.
My thing is, okay, it's an evil forest. Maybe it's evil because you keep throwing bodies there.
I mean, I've always assumed that the forest itself was kind of ominous, and they just thought, okay,
we shouldn't go there.
Yeah, so we will throw things there.
Yeah, but then that's what makes it evil. Because what do you see when you go to the evil forest? Spirits, ghosts, angry spirits, nefarious beings, things that just don't want you to prosper. But then, why? Because you probably should have buried them properly. Or they were evil in real life, and now you've put all the evilness together.
Instead of dispersing.
Abolish evil forests. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay. Alright. You know what I really like about epics? It's always measured in market days. By the next Eke market day. And I think market days is also something we should consider. I think for not historical accuracy, but that's a very interesting day. Instead of, because they didn't have obviously Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So they had Eke market day, Yam festival, so and so. By the next Eke market day, if you not return, the whole kingdom will be wiped out. Or
do you know what amuses me with that?
What?
It's never people that have made that journey that give you that timeline.
What do you mean?
It's like, you need to be here, you need to be back by the next Eke market days. But then geographically, it takes 3 Eke market days to get to the location.
No. The gods are reasonable. They're not stupid.
The gods are reasonable.
Yes, because they're like, okay, we know that it will take you 3. If they know that it will take 3 Eke market days to go, except they want to be appeased. The gods want to be appeased.
I think the gods choose violence every single time.
But they choose violence, but they want to be worshipped too. So if you're a god that just kills all your followers, that's it. You have no more followers. But if you're a god that instills fear in them sometimes and gives them a chance to redeem themselves, who gets more accolades as a god? I don't know what gods want. Praises, worship, glory.
I think praises and worship. a good start.
Yes.
But I think it's a very like
It's usually the most arbitrary
it's
one as well.
yeah.
And then for another story that you find usually is the political thriller.
The one where like the either the king is the worst or the king is too kind or there's somebody that just wants to take his place.
That wants to take power.
Is probably his brother.
That's always scheming. And
Just
it's like
scheming.
just scheming. And then if it's like a proper political thriller, he will go and talk to this chief and go and talk to that chief, make some marriages, do some things, a real Iago, man. To whisper some stuff to some people and then reap the reward, and always use juju. And it's mostly always Chimitalago.
Oh, Elebe is usually the king.
Yes. And or if there's a wicked king, there's another thing. If there's a wicked king, the gods are angry and they must find a good king. Or I particularly really like the ones where it's like, who will be the next king, and they compete or they'll do this.
They do what?
And they compete in this or that. Or I like the Arthurian ones where it's if you can do this, then you're the next king.
Yeah.
Or if you can do that,
and to be just some random guy.
of course. It's a Cinderella story, but for men. Duh.
You have to match this
one thing, and then you be the king, and you have all the power, and it's always the poor guy
that's
does
just
it.
So righteous, and it's just so
and
right.
And his rival is usually Michael.
And it's just so boring.
And he has a boring person that is interested in because romance is always everywhere.
It has to be there. It has to be there.
Yeah.
Even in the epics, there's always someone waiting for them to come back.
Oh yes. There's just always romance everywhere.
Or they meet someone on their way that was just trapped in the evil forest,
and then they fall in love,
and then decide to fall in love with somebody that has been banished to the evil forest.
Hey,
sometimes
forbidden love.
Sometimes unnecessarily. Other times you don't know that they didn't kill all 4 of those children.
What?
That could be why they got sent to the evil forest. Okay.
Alright. So you have the political thriller. Well, what I just said wasn't political. The political thriller is more when there's a council of chiefs and, they are gaming for power and they're doing these things and they're trying to get in the favor with the king. Those are the ones that we don't watch.
I don't know. Do you know why?
Why?
Because it's all men.
Yeah.
There's no costumes in that. There's no 2 pieces. There's no waist beads. There's no dancing.
I mean, we don't know. One of the chiefs might fall in love with the other chief. But probably not. But I those ones we do not watch, but therefore I cannot give you examples of them. But if you are interested in those kind of movies and you want to watch them in epics, you should definitely check Uzegu. And I'm going to speak more on him when we talk about like the notable actors or the notable creators in that genre. Oh, and then you have the proper serious ones. Those are very few in number, if we're honest. The proper serious ones, the proper historical ones, where they're telling the historical story of somebody that has lived. Tell a story of historical relevance or something that actually happened or that something that we believe happened, but adding some spice to it, So you have the slave trade ones. Oh my god, I will never forget watching. Okay. I will never forget watching this film. Now I don't know the name, but it's old, and it's about the slave traders. And there's the one where they used to do raids on the villages, and they'll just catch you, and that's it.
Oh yeah. I don't know what the film is.
Yeah. Those aren't good.
But they're very good.
I mean, no, they're good. They're just very depressing and sad, and we know that it's real life. So they're the ones. So the ones about slavery, as I said, Amazing Grace is a good one. They're the ones about historical wars that happened, so big wars. And these are usually the other ones. They're the ones about
The
past kings, or say I've watched one about King Jaja of Okubo. Films about Queen Idia was a very famous. There'll be loads about Queen Idia, Oba Erediowa, Oba, plenty of Obas. I'm only naming the one I can't remember now. This is where we're going to end the podcast today. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next episode. Antonia,
Bye.
I'm going to need you to be more.
Thank you for listening. Okay, we'll do. I know, like last time we did with the comedy episodes, your type of comedy, because we're not comedic people. We're not comedy film people. So at the end of this episode, when you come across this podcast, if you go to our Instagram page, there will probably be a video with this episode on it. If you just comment what your favorite type of
genre,
what
your favorite kind of story for traditional
historicals are. Also, if you're Nigerian and if you definitely wanted to look like one of these girls, what should they put?
Dancing girl.
Put a red dancing girl in the comments.
Thank you. See you later.